Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. You're joining Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia for another amazing show tonight. I don't know where the time goes. I'm sure everybody would sort of join hands with me when we say, wow, isn't time moving very, very fast at the moment? It only seems like a moment or two ago we were here discussing last week's show, and here we are again. So I'm pleased to say this week that let's sort of try and lighten the mood a little bit. Even though astrologically it's a fairly busy time, I'd like to sort of try and get everybody to sort of take a couple of deep breaths and just exhale all the pressures and the worries and the things that have been concerning us in the last week. I mean, there's always a lot going on in this amazing globe of ours, politically and every other way, but I'd just like this next half an hour for us to just focus on us for a change and block out all the events of the world, if we can, just for a little while, and focus on being in our own energy for the moment. So this week leads me to the Simply Tarot card of the week, which is the Page of Pentacles. Now, this is the first one of our court cards that I think we've actually featured here on the show. So the court cards are representing sort of people. So the page, to me, in my way of teaching, and I've been teaching tarot over close on 40 years now, is pages are females to me. Some people disagree with me and say they're males, but I haven't seen too many males running around in a dress, even in today's society. So I've always worked with them as being the younger female energy of the tarot deck. So the Page of Pentacles is a young woman up to the age of 25. Now, that's one meaning of the card. Or the secondary meaning, which is quite often the one that I feel is appropriate when it comes up in a reading, is usually the secondary meaning. In this case, it's a student. Now, a student, male or female, can mean we're all students. We don't necessarily have to think of we're back at college or school or university or learning something. We are all learning on the journey of life. So when this card comes up, I always ask myself, what is it that I need to focus on? What do I need to learn? Is there something the universe is trying to teach me or share with me, something that I need to be aware of? So I'd like everybody to look at it over the next week. What is it that you can learn? What is it that you can bring into your world that'll make your world a little bit better place? So each week we talk about what's actually happening in this amazing universe of ours, because we have a little bit of a glimpse of, and a dart around the universe to see what's happening. And this week I'd like to focus on two areas. For those of you that follow the show regularly, you'll know we've already had a discussion a few months ago about Mercury retrograde. Well, Mercury is a planet of communication, and Mercury actually goes retrograde, or seemingly goes backwards, 3 times a year for approximately 3 weeks at a time. So it's not a new phenomena. It happens quite regularly. This is our second one for the year, and it actually commenced on the 12th of August. It will go through until the 5th of September. But this Mercury retrograde is slightly different from the others, is because it's going to divide its time between 2 signs. So the first part of Mercury retrograde, the part we're currently in, from the 12th of August through to the 30th of August, will be in Virgo. So Mercury is the planet of communication. He's always saying to us, be very careful during the planet of retrogrades that things can go AWOL. Miscommunication, computers break down, telephones don't work. We find things that we need to communicate on seem to go every which way except the way that we would like them to go. So be very, very careful of communication at this time. Make sure people have got their listening ears on. And if it's an important meeting or a contract, if at all possible, schedule it after the 5th of September. But sometimes we can't do that. So I always suggest to people, if you really have to have this meeting somewhere between the 12th of August and the 5th of September, try and pick it around the middle. Try and get in there sort of after the 18th and before the 1st, if you can, so that it's sort of right in the middle of the retrograde when the energy's more stable than it is when it's about to go retrograde or when it's about to go direct again. So the difference with it being in Virgo for the majority part of this retrograde is Mercury is asking us to slow down. He's asking us to sort of take some time out for ourselves, to sort of go into the thoughts of our own mind and have a real good rummage around, analyse things, look at things. Look at where our lives are going. Look at, are we happy with the direction that our lives are going? Do we need to make some changes in our life? Do we need to make some changes to our physical part of our life? Do we need to get more exercise? Do we need to look at our diet and our physical attributes, the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. And it's very easy in this very busy life, I think, for people to get out of their regular routines. Oh, you know, I'm running late, so I'll just grab a takeaway. And we know that it's not particularly healthy for us if we're doing it often. There's always a special occasion, I think, when we can have a takeaway or go out for a meal and have something that's not part of our normal diet. But if we really want to sort of make sure that we're as fit and healthy and able to make conscious decisions that we need to make with clarity, we need to treat our body as a temple. I'm not here to give you diet instructions or tell you how to run your life. All I'm suggesting is have a little geezer at what's happening in your life, and is there anything there that might need a little tweak or a little adjustment. It's also an absolutely fantastic time for anybody that's looking to change direction in their life or maybe go into a new career or a new business, because with Mercury retrograde here, he gives you the ability to really do a lot of investigating in a way that there's no emotion attached to it, that you will look at it in a very logical, practical eyes, almost putting it under a microscope. So you won't miss any of the vital, important details that need to be explored. So the second part of the retrograde, when Mercury actually slips back into Leo, will be then when we really need to be very, very careful of any communication that we have, because it's going to become a little bit more fiery, a little bit more outspoken. And it's not the time to have the deep and meaningful with the loved ones or bring up the family issue that everybody's been trying to avoid for the last 10 years, because it will end up in a very loud, boisterous disagreement that, you know, maybe will take years to recover from. But on a more positive note, it's the time then, if we do need to sort of start putting something together, a proposal together or a presentation together, the energy is with us. It may not be the time to present it, but it's the time to sort of get creative and sort of look at it in a positive, fresh set of eyes and with positivity and motivation and enthusiasm. So the secondary part I'd like to talk about at the moment, connected with the universe, before we get on to our second part of our Mars series, because I feel that this is very important at the moment too. Even though we have Mercury retrograde asking us to slow down and start to analyse and look at areas of our life, we also have a massive conjunction, which means the planets all sitting holding hands together at the moment in Leo. We have Mars, the planet of action. We have the Sun. But we also have what's known as the North Node, and the North Node shows us the way forward. So at the moment, with Mars and the Sun holding hands, they really are egging each other on. So we really do have to be careful of not to put ourselves in situations that could be seen as explosive, or where people are trying to poke or prod at us to get a reaction from us. Because bearing in mind, with Mercury retrograde, people will not listen to exactly what's being said, and particularly if you say something in anger, it may cause a bigger drama than what you expected, and it may cause something that can't be fixed easily. So this is why I'm asking you to err on the side of caution. But on a positive side, with Mars holding hands or conjunct the Sun and the North Node, this can give us some major breakthroughs. For those that have been feeling like they've been in a rut, feeling like their lives aren't taking off in the direction that they would like to see them happen, they can quite often find during this combination that we actually get an opening or an opportunity that comes literally out of nowhere, as if to be seen as something that sort of, wow, that landed in my lap. Where did that come from? Gee, I'm excited. So let's look at it on the positive side. So we just need to err on the side of caution, be careful with the way that we communicate, think carefully before we open our mouths, and I think everything else will take care of itself. So we're now going to move on to our second part of our series, which is Mars, the planet of action. And Mars is one of my favourite planets, I suppose, because I am a fire sign and I like things to be sort of positive and upbeat, and I don't like to sit still too often, and I probably drive my family and friends nuts because I'm always constantly thinking and looking at the next adventure we're going to go on. I don't really sort of take a lot of downtime, but that's my nature. So Mars and I get on very well. So Mars actually working its way through the zodiac, we're up to the next three signs, which is Cancer, Leo and Virgo. So Mars in Cancer is actually said to be very, very comfortable here. And I struggled with this in my early years in astrology, thinking, well, how can a fiery, outspoken sort of planet feel really comfortable in a watery, emotional, teary sort of Cancer? trying to drown it all the time. And that was the way I looked at it. I was looking at the fire and the water as I saw it, and the water trying to drown the fire out all the time. And when I started to look at it in a different way and sort of looked at, well, maybe the fire part, as I see Mars as the energy, could come in and just gently heat up the water of Cancer, that then maybe, just maybe, we could have some tremendous insights. And actually that's what I find. People that have Mars in Cancer seem to be quite psychic, seem to have some very amazing light bulb moments, not all the time, but when they do get them, they're right on cue. And it sort of seems to be something that sometimes quite often takes them by surprise, and they can be sitting there and listening to your dreary part of your life and all of a sudden have this great wisdom that comes out of their mouth and they don't even know where it's come from, and that's their light bulb moment. So they're actually very creative, very psychic people that have Mars in Cancer. So don't underestimate their power, because they do have a lot of power. It might just be a little bit subtle, but when they decide to send the tsunami your way, watch out. So now we move to Mars in Leo. Now, Mars and Leo actually love holding hands together. They really enjoy each other. If anything, I think they're like two egomaniacs together, where they're sort of egging each other on to see who can outdo the other one. This can give you tremendous drive, but it can also give you a tremendous ability to be conceited and full of your own importance, and sometimes to ignore that other people around you are also equally as important as you, if not more so. So, it's a time with Mars in Leo. I usually say this is performers, people like that are in the public eye quite often have Mars in Leo, and sometimes you see that altered outer ego in the way that they perform on stage, and people say, but behind closed doors they're very different. They're sort of more quiet, they're sort of more introverted, and that's probably because they've been able to split themselves in two. This is my performer ego and this is my home ego, and that's in the correct balance of Mars. Now, when we move on to Mars in Virgo is an uncomfortable sort of energy together, because Mars wants to push everything forward and Virgo says, now let's slow down, let's sort of analyse, let's take our time, let's be practical, let's be logical. And I'm not saying that they can't work together well. I believe that they can, because I think if they allow each other to take the lead and then come together and work together as a team, they don't have to be in competition to each other. And this is why Mars in Virgo works very well, because there's enough energy there to get projects started, but there's also enough stickability and the ability to delve underneath the surface and get to the practical, logical answers, that it can give a tremendous energy to Mars in that way, because it's such a thorough energy. So Mars in Virgo actually works quite comfortably. So we're going to actually take our first caller, and it's Samantha in Post Falls, Indiana. How are you, Samantha? How can I help you?
Good, how are you?
How are you, Samantha?
I'm good. I just looking for some guidance as to which life path I'm supposed to be following. I have a couple different directions that I'm trying to go, but I can't seem to pick one. So, yeah.
Okay. It's difficult when we've got a couple of different directions, Samantha, that we can go, because both of them have merit. And that's the thing that I think makes it really interesting and sometimes tricky when we get to that point where we sort of say, which way will I go? Well, it will be the right or to the left. And at the moment, I want to say to you, I don't think it's the perfect time to make a decision. I don't feel, even if we were to sit down in a very basic way and get two bits of paper and put all the good points on one side and all the bad points on the other side for each of the directions, that one would come out a clear winner. I think they'd almost come out identical. So I'm taking from that then maybe it's not the precise time to make the final decision on this. I'm seeing sort of about the end of the month, the early part of September, where there's going to be some more information that'll come into your mind that gives us a clear direction. So if I was able to focus on the first direction that you've got, is that the one that at the moment might be slightly ahead?
Yeah. I'm currently waiting to hear from a publisher because I've always wanted to be a writer, but I'm kind of in limbo right now because I haven't heard anything. So that's what I really want to do.
Yeah, I know that's what you really want to do, and I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just saying, sometimes those sort of things are on the slow boat from China, so to speak. You know, they're forever slow. So sometimes how we can break deadlocks and things like that, Samantha, is actually start something else, is sort of, you know, put our energy into something else. And the universe says, well, hey, hang on a minute, what about this, Samantha? I thought you were keen on the book. And all of a sudden, you know, it'll break that deadlock or it'll get the energy flowing again. So I think at this point, I think you need to have, don't lose faith in that, but I think we also need to have another project that we're working towards. So has there just been a recent change of residence, Samantha?
Yeah.
And that sort of made you more restless, you know, even though it's a good move, I just felt it got you restless on many levels.
On a personal level, because I've always liked to finish things, but when I do, I never quite achieve that success. It always just kind of hangs in the normal balance of things. So.
Yeah, but maybe you're too much of a perfectionist. Have you ever considered that maybe you're looking for not just finishing it, but it's sort of like I've got to really make sure it's finished, you know, like I'll keep bashing it into the ground to make sure it really is completed. Maybe sometimes I think you're a little bit too harsh on yourself. I mean, you know, there's lots of people that don't finish anything. They just sort of put it in the closet and pretend it didn't happen. You don't do that. I could quite honestly say from what the energy that I'm picking up from you, Samantha, that you actually do finish things. It's just it may be not quite to the standard that you expect it should be. But to me or to someone else, it is complete. So it's not as if you're leaving baggage behind or, you know, karma that hasn't been completed or lessons that haven't been completed. They are complete. It's just because you're so thorough, I think you want to go back and triple check to make sure it is complete. And sometimes maybe that's a waste of time because while we're putting energy into something that's already finished, we're stealing it from the next opportunities that are coming, you know, or just even having the rest and allowing the momentum to build for the new things. They are actually showing me a confirmation letter from a publisher. I don't think it's just yet. What I was being shown was there was great celebration around February. So, I hope we don't have to wait till February for you to get the news, whether that might be when it's going to be launched or, you know, you're really comfortable with it by then. But I know by February you've got something really exciting to celebrate along the lines of the book.
Good, yeah. Because I've been feeling it, too. I just have literally heard nothing. So I'm a Capricorn. And like you said, I feel like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to getting things completely done. So maybe I should start something new.
Yeah, but book publishers aren't known for their speed, dear. It doesn't matter what part of the globe you're in. They all work in their slow time. It's never on our time frame. So I wouldn't give up hope yet. I do feel that there is going to be great success around that. But I also feel there's another 2 projects you're going to start too that are going to be equally as challenging and equally as satisfying as well. So I think you're going to diversify between a number of projects to get that complete feeling of, wow, I'm happy with where I'm going, and that's good. So I wish you the very best, Samantha. I know that you've got a good future ahead of you. Just enjoy this little bit of still time and, you know, maybe do something for yourself for a change. Give yourself a little bit of a time off, you know, go to the spa or have a massage or do something that's nourishing you.
Okay. That sounds great.
Okay, sweetie, lovely to talk to you. We're going to go to, I better put my glasses on because I can't read the name. Oh, Melanie in Dayton, Ohio. Hello, Melanie. How can I help?
Hi, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Melanie. How can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just inquiring about a free reading. I just kind of need some guidance. I'm lost. I got a lot going on. I've had some traumatic events going through, and I'm lost. So I particularly don't really know what to ask at this time. I just need to learn or to kind of get over the traumatic events that have happened. I need to learn how to – I can't function day to day because I have flashbacks, I have triggers, and I'm to the point where I can't function. So I need guidance. I need help. Right now, I'm unfortunately homeless due to the events that had happened, and I haven't had any luck trying to find a home. So I just need some help.
Okay. Melanie, look, I'm sorry to hear that you haven't got somewhere to put your head down of a night that's safe and secure. I think that will change very quickly. Now, it's always very difficult when you're in a situation like you're in, Melanie, where everything seems so overwhelming, and a lot of the things, the events that have happened to you were not your fault. Like they were taken out of control of what you were able to control. And it's
Right.
always difficult when we're trying to deal with so many things at once, and then you get the flashbacks and you get this and you get that and you think, I just can't cope anymore. And what's wrong with me? I've always been a strong person. I've always been the one that other people turn to, that I was always the rock, and why can't I be the rock for myself? And that's not saying that you're losing the plot. You're certainly not, Melanie. What it means is that you are actually human, and we all do have a breaking point where we say, hang on a minute, I need help too. I can't always be strong.
Right.
I think the first thing that we need to focus on is trying getting you somewhere safe. We need to get you a place to call your own. That seems to be the first hurdle that needs to be overcome. I do feel within the next few days, I think there is going to be an opportunity for you to get some help, to get somewhere that you can live, that it's somewhere that you can sort of settle down for a little while. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be, a beautiful, swanky apartment where you've got everything that opens and shuts, but it certainly will be safe, will be secure, and it will be something that you can afford. Now, secondly, are you working at the moment? Because I'm seeing a new job coming up.
No, I'm not working at this moment. It's kind of been a struggle as well.
Because I am seeing work being organised for you, or the opportunity of work coming towards you. It may not necessarily be back in the area that is familiar to you, but what I'm going to say, with what's being offered, I think it's about all you can handle at the moment. It's not saying that you can't gravitate onto something better paying or something that's, going to make you satisfied at the end of the day. But for now, I think we need to take baby steps. We need to get you into somewhere where you can feel safe and secure. We need to get some money flowing back in, and we need to sort of start layering your self-esteem again, because I feel with everything that's happened, it's like somebody sort of stripped you bare down to the skeleton. You've got no self-esteem left. You've got no confidence left in yourself, because you sort of think, well, how could I have made these decisions or these choices that led me to this? And again, I want to come back and say, you didn't do this all on your own. These were things that were out of your control. And I think that's the part that you have to focus on first, is sort of forgiving yourself and saying, well, hang on a minute, no, I wasn't responsible for this. So I'm not going to take on board anything connected with that. I'm going to look at it and say, well, okay, it's a tragedy, it's happened, but I'm now going to sort of, take the next hour and see what I can accomplish in this next hour. And if we take it in little tiny steps like that, I feel then we'll be able to fairly quickly get your life back on track. What I'm seeing in the next month is a lot of amazing things that are going to start to come towards you. First off, somewhere temporary to stay. That will then lead into something that's more permanent. So I feel that there's temporary within the next 24 hours, which, may only be for a few days or a week, but they will then help you get into something that's more stable. And with the combination of the people that you'll be working with around this, they will help you get work as well. So there is people there to help. And I feel that, the next 6 weeks is going to see your life completely turn around. I just sort of feel very sad for you, but at the same time I feel excited, because I sort of feel the universe, even though it seemed like they dealt you some serious hard blows all at once, they actually did you a favour getting it out of the road quickly. Instead of dragging it out over 6 months or 12 months, they did it in a couple of days or a week, and let's get it all out of the road so we can go forward again. You've learnt a lot about yourself, and I think this is very important. And I think you've also learnt to listen to your instincts. There was warning signs going off inside you that you ignored. You won't do that again.
Right, yeah.
But these are all hard lessons. But, sometimes, darling, the hardest lessons, out of the hardest lessons in the greyest skies, comes the most amazing opportunities, and that's what I'm seeing for you. There is, I want you to have hope. I want you to sort of know that there's nothing you could have done to stop this. You know, you couldn't put the brakes on it in any way. You just had to hit it head on. It was part of what the universe had in store for you, unfortunately. But out of this is going to come some amazing opportunities. And in 12 months' time, you'll look back and say, I don't even remember that lady. I don't even know who she was. You're so then. So I can only wish you the very, very best. I know that things are going to turn around for you. And you need to just take very, very baby steps, sweetheart. And by doing that, that will help you start to build your confidence back in yourself and your own decision-making, which has been stripped away from you. So I'd like to take this opportunity to just thank you for calling into the show, and just know that you will be in our prayers and our thoughts, and I know that things will turn around for you. So just keep positive, sweetheart. Keep putting one foot in front.
Yeah, because, I mean... Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to implement thing. You know, one thing that kind of got me in shock was when you said that I learned a lot about myself. I mean, because I was human trafficked.
Oh.
And when I escaped, I learned so much about myself, it was unreal. I learned that I could survive, especially escaping was the worst. And, you know, being human trafficked is something very, very something real. And when I was human trafficked, I didn't know how I was going to survive or get out of it. And I remember you did make that point that I got out of this situation and I learned a lot about myself, and I did.
You did, and we wish you well, Samantha. I'm sorry I have to cut it short. We're just about to wrap up the show. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight here on the show. We'll be back again next week with our third part in the series of Mars. We'll be looking at Libra, Scorpio and Sagittarius. And I hope you have an amazing week around this amazing globe of ours, and take care of yourselves and be kind to somebody. Open a door, smile. Let's make the universe a better place to be in. Catch you next week. Bye.